Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Game of Thrones, Hand of the King.
You can play this game with 2 to 4 players. They recommend those players be 14 and up, and it takes about 15 to 30 minutes.
There we go.
The copy we have is published by Fantasy Flight Games.
Excellent. So what do you think of the components of Game of Thrones?
Well, they're all cards, and I think that the card stock is a good medium weight card stock, and they're a linen finish.
Nice.
And the artwork on the cards, it's not my favorite style of cartoonish art, and I think they did a really good job of capturing all the characters' personalities with the art.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of look like the characters you see on TV, but kind of not, but you still know who they are.
Yeah. And it's very like a comic book or a graphic novel style art.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see like sitting down and reading through the graphic novel rendition of Game of Thrones and it looking like this, which would be awesome.
Yeah. What do you think about the strategery, which is a word that we use for strategy, tactics, and luck?
It's interesting how the board is going to be set up in the 6x6 grid, and then which 6 companions are going to come out means that there's going to be kind of a variable setup, which is going to affect how the game goes. But once that's all done, there's no randomness or luck at all. Mm-hmm. It's pure tactics and strategy. It's very easy, especially in a 2-player game, to sit there and go, if I do this, then they can do that, which would set up me to do this. Of course, you can't go too many moves ahead because then everything changes as the players play, but there is some long-term strategy and a whole lot of tactics, which is very nice. It sets up a nice blend so that you can get into those kind of head games.
The level in which it balances tactics and strategy is kind of in a sweet spot for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like the level in which you can balance those two.
It's not that the choices of what to do are obvious, but it's very obvious to kind of follow the logic of, if I do this, then they can do this, which means then I could do this. Where some games, following that logically is difficult, and then you just feel confused all the time about what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
This does not have that.
Right.
It's nice, and you can follow it logically, which makes it fun, and you get right into the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until a time when someone points out a move that you didn't see, and then you really start considering it very much, and then don't realize the ramifications of what you're about to do.
Yeah.
That can be a little disappointing.
It's a game that kind of encourages you to be kind of treacherous and be like, oh, there is that there. And they must have known that that was a potential part of the game without putting it in the rules.
Well, just the theme that they chose for the game.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like, it portrays that part of the show and books perfectly.
Quite well. And the reason why I think they realized that that was going to happen is because there is a variant called the Crow variant. And there are these little Crow tokens, and if you play the Crow variant, you're not allowed to talk at all unless you spend one of your Crow tokens.
Right, and there's 4 Crow tokens in the game.
Yeah.
Can you gain them back, or you can only talk 4 times?
So when you play the Crow variant, you have 1 Crow token, and you're allowed to spend it that one time to talk. And when you choose a specific opponent to talk to, you actually move away from the table and converse secretly.
Oh my.
And then come back, and you don't get your Crow tokens back.
That's quite thematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Messed up. So, for such a small, short game, it portrays that quite well. What do you think about the complexity of Hand of the King?
I really like this slide puzzle type mechanic.
Yeah.
We don't have a game like that, and it's not really a difficult thing in the game. Now, slide puzzles, for me, on the other hand, can't do them at all. But this is really cool.
Nice.
And I also like I said, the balance between the tactics and the strategy, how I can look at the board and say, if I move here, then I look at your cards. Well, they're either going to want to do this or this. And if they do that, can I do a good move? Or if they do that, can I do a good move? And then you pick, like, where you want to go based on that.
Yep.
Like, I like that 1, 2, 3 look ahead.
Nice. Yep.
So I don't find that overly complicated either.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just the people with the most banners wins.
Yeah. I think the only kind of difficulty you might have in teaching the game is, in a game where there's like a house majority, if you have 2, it means I need 3 to get majority.
Oh, yeah,
So the fact that you only have to tie to take the banner,
right.
but I think that is like a really important part of the game. It levels it out so it's a little bit easier to take back a house.
Right, you can't have like a runaway leader.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important and a really good decision on making the game. I think that one little rule, if it had gone the other way, the game wouldn't be nearly as good.
Especially for a 2-player game.
Yeah.
And I also like that it's just so easy and quick to set up. You shuffle the cards, put them in a 6x6 grid, and you're away to the races.
Nice.
And what do you think about the playability?
Playability. Well, we've already talked a little bit about the theme of the game with the mechanisms, and they do blend together quite well, which is nice. Also nice that it really kind of focused on the theme of the intrigue and backstabbing and less on the blood and sex of the show.
Oh, thank heavens, yeah.
Yeah, because then that wouldn't be very good for a game.
Even the artwork's quite tamed down, like this lady here. How do you say her name again?
Melisandre? Something like
Yeah, I mean, they have her dressed in a skimpy dress, but at least she's mostly covered.
that. There you go.
Whereas in the show, well, if you've watched it.
Yeah. So we haven't played this other than a 2-player game, and it works really well as a 2-player game. The 3 and the 4-player game, there are some variants there where you can play on teams and that kind of stuff. Honestly, don't know how that works, but it seems like it would be kind of neat. As for the game length, it's super short. It's definitely a filler, which is perfect for exactly what you're doing, because if it went on any longer, it would start to get boring. I think it's just perfect kind of game length for what the game is.
Yeah.
As for the replayability, we've actually already talked about it a little bit with the random setup of the 6x6 grid and the large deck of companion cards where there's only ever going to be 6 that come out per time. Lots of replayability there.
Yeah, there's this many more companion cards.
Yeah. So, lots of replayability, which is excellent. Does it have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
This game is more awesome than cute.
Yes, it is.
Just because, like I stated, the art's good, and I think it goes well with the theme of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite style of art, but I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Are we going to trade it or keep it?
I think we should keep this one.
Yeah, this is definitely a keeper.
Because it's the only one, like I said before, it's got that slide puzzle mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a theme of Game of Thrones that's not gross and bloody.
Yep.
So I enjoy that because it's more about the intrigue. So I like that.
Yeah, and does it well.
Yes. And it's short and fast and quick, so you can play it either in between games or if you want to play it a few in a row, then it works great in both instances.
And we're not big fans of fillers, but it works really well. So definitely a keeper. And did we finish the game as Sweethearts or Rivals? We finished it as
Rivals.
Rivals.
Of course.
Oh yeah. Which again is kind of surprising considering how quick of the game it is. Because I usually need more game to get invested in before I get all rivalry. But for this one, there's again that you don't need to like get the majority. You just need to equal what you have, and I can take over that house. And that makes for really quick back and forth takeovers that are very satisfying and rivalry.
And I think also, like, the spirit of the show comes through in this little game so much that you kind of know, like, Joffrey is rivals with, where is she? Stanza. You know, like, you can feel that tension in the game.
Yeah.
I think.
There you
I
go.
can find it. And especially when you get the Jon Snow character, and then if Justin takes it, for the rest of the game, you can just say, well, Jon Snow knows nothing.
So that is Game of Thrones, Hand of the King.
That it is. Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
Laters.
Although winter's over, so it might be the wrong time of the year to be playing it.
I don't know if winter's over here.
Yeah.
It's still snowing outside.
No,
Yeah.
No.
It is.
I don't see it.
It's winter.
It's not in my vision.